All right, Chris, here's your new Stryker here, so appreciate your order on the website. And this is kind of where we're at. So um, it's converted. I'll run the software after I'm done, and I'll get it set up for you, so I'll be back. Okay, so on AM, I set the low power dead key to 0.5 watts. And we're gonna set up the AM mod here. Looks like about like that should be okay. I don't know how it's gonna look here though. I want to make sure it looks okay. Looks okay, so I can probably get maybe a little bit more out of it. It's better like that. So it's good. Alright, so 0.5 watts, it's doing over 4 times, so that's good. Alright, so now we'll do the high power side, and I set that to about 16 watts. So you only get 2 adjustments on this radio, high and low, but the RF power works, so you can adjust it wherever you want after the fact. 92. So you can pretty much see, if you go like this, you can see where it flat tops on the carrier at the bottom. See that? And you can see it here too. So you have a different way to look at it. We don't want that, so it looks pretty good there. So PEP, it's about almost 80 on the Bird, and it's 72 on the LP100. So it's about 98%. So that's a good sign there. It looks really nice. So, and then same thing on this radio as it was on that Washington. The little bit of jaggedness you see, that's that boost conversion, up conversion board. So I would have liked to seen a different style MOSFET being used, like a high power, just single MOSFET device in there. Obviously, I think all that stuff costs more money, so that's probably why you don't see that stuff on these radios, unfortunately. But it would be cool if they got away from just using the, the 520 MOSFETs, IRF 520s, or whatever they're using. So, but they work, so I guess it is what it is. So there's sideband. We'll get this straightened out for you, just like on the Washington that I just did. I need to bump that down some. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to match those two numbers. I got, there's like local TV channels you guys know, and I got Bewitched on right now, and after that comes I Dream of Jeannie. I don't know, I really like those old TV shows. I watched those when I was a kid. Those two shows it seemed like they were always on around the same time during the day too. So you can see that's really nasty. This thing is getting smoking hot. So and you can see the average power is just way too much. It's just through the roof, and for that test, and it's a really poor number there. So you guys remember that, watch my video on that small little Anytone radio, that had a really poor number too on this test, that little new sideband radio that I showed. So that's a reason that we asked for some changes. Some of the other guys that are testing it and stuff, there's a lot of changes that were asked on that radio. Don't know if we're going to get them. There's some really important ones to me, really one or two that really stand out for me. I'm a real stickler for certain things, and it's not giving me what I want. So I hope that they really take it seriously on this radio, and they don't mass produce it, that little sideband one, before they really address that key problem that I have with it, and I'm not going to go into it, but it is something I don't like. And those that know me, some friends I have in the radio hobby and stuff probably have asked about it on the personal level. I've just kind of tried to be brief with it there too, but I will kind of share my thoughts a little bit, because that's what it's all about, you know, with some personal friends I have in the radio hobby. But I'm really hoping that they do their due diligence on that little radio. Even if they do, I probably would never run it in my own personal vehicle. I just don't really care for this really small radio like that. It's hard for me to see it. I like a more basic radio in the car anyways. I don't need all that other fancy stuff, noise reductions and all that stuff. I just like a Uniden or a Cobra or a Galaxy or something basic, because I really don't care about sideband really too much in the car. AM is more my thing in the car. I listen to the Super Bowl, or I listen to Channel 19 or the local channel around here. When I'm at work, the local channel down by my work is Channel 19, so you know, it's not really a necessity for me to have sideband in the car. But I hope they do their due diligence on that thing and make it the best as they can for everybody, but we'll see. That's all we can do. So we need to run the software on this radio really quick, and the reason being is, number one, now I always see that gate function should be on. It's not on right now, and that's why you see that carrier looks kind of strange. That's not good. Don't run the radio like that. If you own one of these, you bought it from somebody else or whatever, excuse me, make sure you have that gate function on it. It is important. Like that. Now see, now we have a standard normal looking carrier. So I don't know why it does that, but it is important. So I'm gonna plug my computer cable in and run the software really quick, and then I'll be back and show you the final power and quick receiver check. Okay, so we're running the software right now. So when I say, you know, with my CV stuff, I don't really care if I have sideband. It's just a personal preference in the car, but like I've said before, I don't do a lot of talking on my radio in the car anyways, so you know, it's more just to have it on and hear the static and hear the guys on Super Bowl, or you know, on AM in general. But that's just me. Having the amateur radio license, I have a ATAS Yaesu antenna 120A I can put on my car, and I really enjoy that for the other bands, and the ability to just be able to hit a button on the radio and adjust the overall length of that antenna and go to certain frequencies and bands and stuff on the fly. I don't even run that right now, just because it's when I'm driving, I'm kind of driving. I don't know, there's so many crazy people out there on the road anymore that I don't really want to really pay too much attention to the radio like I used to, because man, there's just, you never know anymore with driving what people are going to do. So here we go. Here's the power of our Stryker 955 HPC Plus. So this is on AM with the RF power all the way up. So you can look at both meters, however you want to look at it. But it's over 100 watts, just like they always do. The best place to run it, I think, is about here, right at 12 o'clock. That's going to sit you somewhere around 4 or 5 watts. And then you just let it kind of swing up, and that's a good way to run this radio, especially if you're going to drive into some type of amp or something that can handle this type of PEP power. Keep that dead key down. Having a lower dead key and just letting the audio swing in is always going to make you louder and not get all pinched up or muffled up. You know, you get too high a dead key, sometimes you start backing up and you sound muffled up and pinched up. Now granted, we're not getting as much out of the radio consistently, but that doesn't really matter. It's more about the audio anyways. But you know, if you turn that RF power down, it'll do less, of course. But let's show that really quick. We'll just turn it all the way down to the absolute minimum. Even down at the absolute minimum, you can still see here what it's doing. But you know, this is a half a watt. I don't take much value in what the bird meter's showing at this point, because it's just what it is. It doesn't have a fast enough detection circuit like this meter does to pick up the peaks of my voice and the power changes when that happens. But you can see here you can run considerably less power out of the radio if on AM if you need to. So I wouldn't say to run it like that and run it into like a small MOSFET amplifier, like a 2-pill or RM Italy 203. That would be kind of nonsense, since you have a strong 100-watt radio here. Just let the radio do all the work then. But some guys, they have certain pieces of gear and they somehow still want to run them, and I get that. But when you buy a higher power radio like this, you kind of have to limit yourself to only what the radio is going to give you. And then if you want something else, then you need to probably upgrade on some other pieces of gear to get something stronger. Or if you have an amplifier that has like driver transistors, like a 2 by something or a 1 by something, you got to be careful with radio like this then that you don't overdrive that driver transistor, because if you take that out, then you could be in trouble. So it's just what it is. I'm no expert when it comes to amplifiers or anything like that. I really don't like to run them. I mean, I do, but I don't. So it's one of those things. Everybody has their fun with amplifiers in the hobby, and some guys are really good at it, and the guys that are really good at it can fix their own stuff if they do break it, so they can push things to the limit knowing that, hey, if I break it, I'll just fix it. But not everybody has that benefit, so some guys got to be a little more careful about what they're doing with their equipment. So here's SSB. Now this is with the power all the way down, so as you can see here, it's considerably low, which is okay because our power's down. So we'll turn that up. Actually, we'll turn it up halfway and see what it's doing. So at the halfway mark there, now we can see about 50 watts or so, and then all the way up, the radio will do probably close to 100, or maybe just a touch over at times. So it really depends, but the bird is kind of reflecting about anywhere from 80 to 100 watts. And then up here on the LP100, it's probably about the same, 80 to 100 watts or so. But it's a lot cleaner that way, which is better. It's much easier on the radio. When I showed you guys when it was all distorted and it was doing almost 100 watts RMS power on sideband with the two-tone, the reason why this power cable looks like this is I kind of grabbed different this is off of like an HF radio or something, this fuse holder, and just kind of I soldered it, but I didn't have heat shrink tube on the wire at the time. I'm like, man, I don't want to redo my work, so I just put electrical tape over it, but it would have looked better with heat shrink tube. But anyhow, the old fuse adapter was like this on the positive side. So one day I was setting up a radio like this for myself. I still have that radio. It's my personal radio like this. And I walked away for a second when it was in that two-tone test on sideband, and when I came back, the radio was off. And I'm like, why is the radio off? And I looked at the fuse holder, and it was melted. Like, it was absolutely melted, and the fuse was all blown inside and stuff. That it got so hot from too much current draw from all that RMS power on single sideband that it actually melted the plastic, and I couldn't take the thing apart. I had to cut it open to see the fuse was all like melted and just destroyed. So that's telling you that this thing is way out of compliance as far as running in a linear fashion on sideband, if it's going to do that. It was kind of scary actually, but that's why I always turn it down and make it work the way it does, because it's just better for everything. So that's the story behind this, why that's like that. But this thing's ready to go, so I'll just put it on the antenna really quick, and then we'll call it a day on this one. Okay, here it is on the antenna.
Dolly CD, November 757, South Texas Mobile, standing by. Some of them just don't enjoy life. And you better hope you don't hit you upside the head with
I didn't like where that was going.
65 watts. on the kids. Freaking, you know how they are. Him and Cameron with his girlfriend living with me, dude. It's insane.
Some local guys, I think these are like truck drivers or something.
Sick, like I told you,
They're
dude.
really close. Let's go to the no weather band. Which antenna am I on? Oh, that's why I have a low pass filter in line. That's why it's not working. That's exactly why. So when you have a low pass filter in line, you will not pick up anything above like that 30 megahertz range. It just drops off. So that's why we're not picking anything up. I'm thinking, why isn't this working? So what I'm going to do is just kind of do this. I'll take this coax and just loosen it. And that's almost like it becomes like almost like a piece of wire that we're receiving off of. And now you can see that it's working. So I have a big low pass filter that I run.
From mostly sunny to partly sunny. It was 37 at Alpena, 36 at Houghton Lake.
Any extra filtering I can do, I just feel more comfortable with that on the output side of anything. In my mobile, I even run a bandpass filter. So that's that. So that's pretty much it for you. We're going to get this one all set up, or it's already set up. We're going to get boxed up for you and ready to go. But yeah, in the mobile, before I wrap this video up, I have a bandpass filter that I run. So for people to say, well, you know, you need to do this and do that to your vehicle to make the receive quieter and stuff, I just don't buy into that. It's more the radios are made in a lower quality when it comes to the noise blanker circuit on a modern like SSB radio. They just don't make them to the same standard as they used to, and unfortunately, you know, it's just the way it is. But I have a bandpass filter, which, if you don't know what that is, the difference between the low pass and the bandpass is the bandpass is basically like a brick wall. So you have your look at these two microphones, simply to put it. So you have your channel 1, it's this microphone, and channel 40 is this microphone. So the bandpass filter allows reception to come in on here. Anything outside of that filter range, which usually it goes a little farther, the one I have goes a little farther down and a little farther up, but it will reject and block out, it will filter out anything. Let's just say, in theory, what we're showing here, somebody's transmitting a really strong signal on 26905 and we're on channel 1. Whatever the specification is of that filter, I think it's like 50 dB down or something. It's going to attenuate them down by 50 dB, so basically you probably wouldn't hear them. The same thing goes up here. If somebody's on 27455 and they're running an exorbitant amount of power and you're on channel 40, you're probably not going to hear them by attenuating that signal down. But anything in between the pass band of the filter, it works properly. So don't be afraid of filters in the hobby. They serve a good purpose. And that bandpass filter should block out any interference that is being produced from, I don't know, common electronics and stuff like that, that's in the frequency domain that my antenna picks up, and it sends it back to my radio's receive circuitry. So to say that, oh, you got to do this and you got to do that to your car, I just don't really buy into that, because the bandpass is doing a lot. Now, if it's something on the DC side, you know, I have a DC line filter on my power jack that goes into any radio, and it's supposed to filter out DC. So I'm doing everything I can. I don't buy into buying, like, you can go on Amazon and you can buy like assortments of these. They don't even tell you what these are. They just say clip-on ferrites. I fell into that years ago, and these are worthless. They're junk. Don't waste your money on them. You're better off buying real ferrites, you know, whether it's something like this, something like these type of things have a real world application, and you can do multiple turns with like this. If you like the clip-ons, they make clip-ons too, but buy something with the right mix type that really makes a difference, and that can help you with common mode current and it can help you with all kinds of things. And a lot of times you see that stuff more on HF, especially if you're running like end-fed half-wave antennas and stuff like that. They're really nasty for common mode currents, and if you're running digital modes and stuff, you might have to wrap your USB cables, and just, you know, the RF gets into that stuff, and those really do a wonder to get rid of that stuff. But you know, that's where what I was trying to say is, you know, there's a lot of things we can do with filters, and the low pass filter means that, so the band pass, we've already kind of talked about what that is briefly, and very poorly, but I think you guys got the point. It allows things to pass through here, but nothing outside, nothing outside. So the low pass means we take this one away and say this is our 30 megahertz, because that's what most of them are. So anything from whatever to 30 will pass. After we get to 30, there's usually like a steep drop off. You have your pass band, and then it just brick walls out, and the filter just rejects everything. So everything past 30 is taken down by however many dB that filter works. So when you're transmitting, you know, you can transmit whatever inside after the fact. If there's any things that are not supposed to be, like dirty spikes of RF and stuff, you know, the filter will attenuate it down to not bother anything. So even those are nothing to be afraid of. Our guys on some of my videos, I've talked about those that say they've gotten them and it's caused their SWR to go up and stuff like that. And I don't understand that, because a filter doesn't really have a property to change SWR. You're just passing the signal through, and it filters things out. But what happens is, we're trying to listen on this radio to the weather band at 162. Well, that signal is being blocked by that filter, so we're not hearing anything because of that. So that's why it did that. That's a brief understanding of that. But a lot of you guys already know that stuff, and I'm just preaching to the choir. Anyways, I will get this one heading your way. 73. Catch everybody on the next one.